implemented. And we're so close to having this opportunity for you, then you can evaluate. And I hope you do. And if you need information, give us a call. We're going to make sure that every one of our members have access to to not only the commitments, but the concepts behind the commitments. I think we've got a lot of work to do. Got some LTE to build. So thank you. Next up, we're going to hear from Scott Kelliher. Scott, I know it's tough following Amasa, but I think you're up to it. Where Scott currently serves as Vice President and industry lead for technology and telecommunications category for Yahoo. And prior to Yahoo, Scott was with AOL and Virgin Mobile. And today he's here to share his perspectives on how competitive carriers can successfully adapt to the new normal as the mobile phone and the connectivity move to the forefront of consumers' lives and their new user habits. So why don't you welcome Scott. Scott, come on up. Oh, there you are.
Coming up the side. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah. It's all yours.
Thank you. So first and foremost, Steve, I want to say congratulations to you and everyone else at the CCA for announcing a new way of doing business this morning. That was a pretty exciting announcement, and as you said, the unenviable task of trying to follow that is where I find myself now. But thank you, and again, congratulations to everyone. That is a very significant announcement and an entirely new way of doing business. So I was asked to come talk with all of you about what it means now to be mobile first today. Yahoo is a mobile-first company. If anyone ever sees our CEO, Marissa Mayer, speak, the first thing she will say is, Yahoo is now a mobile-first company. And what does that mean? And from my perspective, that takes three different directions. It means mobile-first as a consumer. What does that mean for consumers? As a content publisher, which obviously Yahoo is one of the largest in the world. And then as an advertiser, what does it mean to live in a mobile-first environment? Consumers' habits today have changed, and the way they get their information and the way that they look to their content providers is entirely different. Our goal at Yahoo now is to inspire and entertain those daily habits. The numbers that you see up on the screen, when you look at the things that people are doing on their mobile devices now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, yeah, that makes complete and total sense. But the way that people are now consuming content and information has completely changed. If I asked anyone randomly, when do you think people use their phones and their tablets? They say, well, it's an evening time activity. It's one of those things, they're on their PCs at work all day, and then when they get home, they get on their phones and their tabs. The reality is, if you think like that, you're missing a bunch of just ingrained human behaviors. The concept of long bursts of content consumption has completely gone away with the mobile-first world. If you think about the way you live your life, on your way to work, you pull in and you stop and you get gas. While the gas is pumping, you've got a couple minutes, you're going to grab some information off your smartphone. As you walk from point A to point B, you're going to grab a couple minutes here and there. And the important thing to understand is that those minutes come and they go. They go up and they go down, and they go up and they go down. And as a publisher, we have to try and figure out ways to create content that is meant to be consumed like that and is readily available and easily delivered via every mechanism that a consumer is looking for. We see almost 800 million unique people every month globally. And as of some recent numbers, our mobile users are up to 400 million. Before this year is over, we will have actually reached the inflection point where more of our page views and more of our traffic is coming from mobile and tablet devices than the traditional desktop. For a company that was part of the original internet wave, that's a dynamic shift. And being able to be nimble enough to rethink how we do business is going to be crucial for all of us going forward. We fight our own sort of duopoly at Yahoo. We're fighting the battle against Google and Facebook. Those guys obviously are extremely well capitalized and are doing all kinds of amazing things. We're trying to increase competition in our own way and taking what I would consider to be a slightly more interesting, consumer-friendly approach. So these daily habits are becoming much more entertaining. And in the last, I would say 9 months, I believe it is, all of our Yahoo mobile apps have been redesigned from the ground up. The interesting thing about the way we're thinking about them is how to make them A, more entertaining, and B, more useful, at the same time. If you look at the weather app, for example, weather is a very information-driven application. It's the weather. It is what it is. So how can we re-envision it to make it more beautiful, more elegant, and more useful for consumers? The answer is in another asset that we have called Flickr. So if anyone has seen the Yahoo weather app, I think it's gorgeous. And what we do is we pull in photographs that users take and submit to Flickr, and then bring it and make it relevant to the weather that's outside, either via location tag or the type of weather that's occurring. And if you look at all of these apps that we have redone, you'll discover that is how Yahoo is approaching the new world. We're starting to take these different elements and different assets that we've had that have historically worked completely in a silo and start to make them leverage for each other. The last one I would quickly point out is the News Digest app. It's the one listed at the bottom there. I'm not sure if anyone heard of a company we acquired a little while ago called Sumly. But what Sumly does is take a technology that enables an article, a very long article, to be summarized into 2 short paragraphs. It reads like it had been written by a person, like it makes sense, it's very nicely written, but it was all done by machine, and we can do it for hundreds of articles at a time. The reason this is so important for us is it enables us to take these very long pieces of information and make them very succinct and easily delivered to a mobile device. Again, we are now trying as content publishers to live like our consumers, and that would be mobile first. So if you check out the News Digest app, we're able to summarize all the key stories of the day into these very 2 short paragraphs, as we like to refer to them as being FOMO-worthy, the fear of missing out. You can read in 2 paragraphs and not miss out on anything as you go to work. So as these experiences change, and as the amount of time that consumers are spending on these mobile devices changes, the number of opportunities that are available to all the rest of us change as well. 47% of time spent in front of a digital screen is on a smartphone or tablet. So as people who are in the mobile ecosystem, we're always trying to find new ways to reach our consumers and get to them new messages, deeper messages, and broader messages. And this is the shift that we'll talk about second, which is how do you shift from in the mobile-first world being a digital advertiser to a mobile-first digital advertiser, and ways that some of those things can be leveraged to access new subscribers, sell more services to your current subscribers, and other approaches. Sticking with the consumers themselves for a second, the other piece about it is finding as many ways as possible to give consumers control of their own experience. When we designed some of our newer sites, there's one that you see on the screen here right now. It's called Yahoo Tech. I'm not sure how many of you know David Pogue. He's a very well-known writer in the tech space. David joined us and is the leader of this Yahoo Tech product. It's a wholly new designed site. It has these beautiful tiles that represent all the different articles and great things about them. But the interesting things about it are, first, when you click on an article, instead of reloading the page, what it does is push down all of the content that was already there and leave everything that was already there. It makes it a much faster experience, a much easier experience on smaller devices, and makes it much more social. It gives you a direct URL that people can then share out and then come back into. The interesting thing about this is built on a Tumblr page. So the concept of leveraging, again, one of the other Yahoo assets to make our experiences better. But the key to it in the mobile-first world is making sure that, yeah, this looks amazing on a desktop, but how well can it possibly work when we get onto a mobile phone? All of our sites and all of our properties are now built in a way to leverage all screens equally. And the second half of that, as you see the smartphone here, that's the same content we just had a second ago. It's live, it's real, it's now. That content lives and it just changes to fit the screen. And when you go to a tablet, again, there it is, completely laid out, absolutely native, and well to go. The challenge, though, is to make this match from an advertiser's perspective. As a content publisher, we obviously need to monetize this. And we're able to do so for consumers. We've been able to make this experience now to the level that they want no matter what device they're on. But how do we make the advertising experience match that? We need to define some newer ways to enable brands to bring their messages to these pages, to leverage the consumers and the people that we have and that we know are looking at them, and to do it seamlessly. The traditional ads were not going to work. You can't take the same ad on a desktop and put it on a phone. It just doesn't work. So we've rethought how those ads are brought to and the form that it takes, and we're going to be serving all these ads in the form of native content, and I'll get into more of that in a second. The advertising solution suite has always been a mess. There's too many options, it's too hard, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to get the maximum of my return, I don't know what's going to drive me the most new subscribers, I don't know what the way to do the most sales for my new service. We need to simplify that. And at Yahoo, this is what we've been approaching. We call it the Yahoo Audience Manager Plus system. It's basically unifying all of our advertising offerings into one suite. That would be Premium, which is the traditional things that you all know, Audience, which is non-reserved buying, Video, Native, and of course, Search. As an advertiser, the one point that I want to make sure that we get across here is the importance of making a message that lasts and stays. So too often when we have a big announcement to make, we make our announcement and then we let things go quietly. But we want to talk for just a quick second about, in a mobile-first world, how do you think about some of these things? So I put these three up there just very quickly. Content marketing is something in a mobile-first world I think we're all going to see is much, much more important. Facebook was one of the first people to do this. It's the idea of an advertisement in your Facebook newsfeed. The idea here is to do something similar, and you can take your content and make it part of that mobile newsfeed. So where we saw the Yahoo Tech articles first, a second ago on the phone, we can bring your content specifically about your products, your services, and what you're bringing to market into that feed in the same way. The last one I want to call out quickly is Tumblr. I'm not sure how many of you are using Tumblr currently, but the interesting thing about Tumblr is that A, putting content on Tumblr is free, and B, it takes all kinds of content. So no matter what you have, and I use the word content broadly, but no matter what you have in terms of assets, be it a press release, an article, a video, a graphic, even something as simple as a photograph, you can put up onto Tumblr, and it becomes content that we can then syndicate out, again, totally free, to anyone who is there. As you continue after that original launch, you get people's attention. Don't let it die. Keep things going. Native ads is the next version of that stream ad we were talking about. Traditional paid display, we all know how that works. Mobile, and of course, search. Never want to leave search out of the conversation. And sustain it throughout the length of what you're trying to do. When you live mobile first, you have to rethink your approach to some of these things. When you live mobile first, you have to think about new ways of advertising and making sure that you realize that some of the old ways don't work as much anymore. When you do this right, the results are incredible. I'm not sure how many people are aware, but the average click-through rate on a traditional desktop banner is somewhere in the let's call it 0.01 to 0.1 tenths of a percentage point range. That's really small. It's a really small number. But when you start to live mobile first and pair mobile with some of the traditional, and I use the word traditional loosely, digital media options available, the results can be very, very significant. So if you look on this slide right here, if you added traditional, and by the way, it goes both directions. So the first thing is, if you take mobile and add it to what had been a traditional digital media campaign, we've seen a 64% lift in performance. That's a big number. Anytime we can move any number 64%, that's a big deal. And the other thing is that it goes both ways. Mobile doesn't work just by itself. People might be mobile first, and this might be a new era, but they don't live mobile exclusively. So when you flip it over and add desktop media to mobile media, you can see a 7 times increase in your conversions. I don't know a single business anywhere who would not be interested in finding a way to sell 7 times more products. When you look at some brand metrics and brand awareness type things, the results are no fewer. If you add mobile to the PC, you see incredible brand lift there. And the same thing is true with video. When you add video to it, the percentages go up again significantly. These are big numbers, and these are big changes. The digital media industry has been around for quite some time at this point. It's no longer as new as it was. So to be able to move numbers in this way is huge. So talk about search for one quick second. Yahoo is one of only 2 major players in the US who are able to offer search. And so we have some pretty significant numbers to base this on. If you show someone, or if you do an advertisement on search, and obviously we recommend highly that you do, on the desktop, a person who has seen your search ad versus those who are not are 125% more likely to buy your product. That's a big number. But it gets bigger. If you run ads on mobile search versus not at all, you'll wind up with 552% increase. I'm just going to stop for a second. That's a big number. 552% of anything is a big number. And then the last one is when you do it all together, you can see a 750% increase in your lift. Those are big numbers. So we're really excited to be here, and I'm very excited to be working with the CCA on different ways we can partner with all of you. There's three basic ways we can do this, and I think it's important to realize, obviously Yahoo is a big company, but we are very interested in working with all of you, especially through the CCA, to aggregate your collective power and your collective audience to both help you increase revenue and drive new subscribers. So the three basic ways we see of putting this all together are as follows. Obviously, as an advertiser, we offer these services. We offer them in lots of different ways, everything from big to little to totally self-service and everything in between. That is the easiest and obviously by far the lowest hanging fruit. But we're also very interested in partnering with you to help syndicate our content. And again, through the CCA, this is something that we're interested in talking about. Our content is obviously some of the most prominent, most premier in the world. This is top-tier, top-notch talent creating top-tier and top-notch content. These types of content syndications give you the opportunity to increase your own content, meaning your portals, your own pages on the mobile web, all types of other areas. And in doing so, what you're going to be doing is increasing your own opportunities to sell advertising, which, by the way, is the second piece of all this. We're interested in helping you guys aggregate your own mobile web inventory and get revenue for it. Figure out ways to help you sell it for higher CPMs, sell it to more audience, a broader audience, and do things like that. This is a chance to take what could be some local news that is very hyper-local and add to that with nothing but top-tier content, increasing your overall page views and then increasing your overall service revenue from it. And then the last one is to talk about ways that we can help you guys with syndicating our search product. So we have search. We are a very strong search provider. I know that Google has recently been disintermediating all types of carriers from their share of the revenue there. This is a chance to claw some of that revenue back and bring it back into your pockets as opposed to simply letting it go. We're trying to increase this competition and find new ways for you to be able to take advantage of some of those services. In conclusion, again, the thing that I most want to hammer is the world is now mobile first. It's not going back. This is a trend that's not going away. And the important things for us to figure out are how that changes for everyone's behavior and the new opportunities that it brings us from a revenue perspective, increasing our subscriber base perspective, and overall increasing the profile of all the organizations that we work with. Again, congratulations to the CCA on the announcement this morning. I'm very glad to have been here today. Thank you for the invitation, and hopefully this was helpful. Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Mobile consumer use and mobile devices has certainly changed, and we heard some good ideas of how it could create new revenue for all our carriers. So we're going to try to keep this flowing along and get you some more information. So next joining us is Glenn Laxdal, and Glenn is Vice President of Technology and Advanced Solutions for Ericsson's North America region. He's responsible for driving Ericsson's technology direction and innovation in emerging technologies and creating business value for Ericsson's customers in North America. And so prior to his role at Ericsson, Glenn was with RIM, BlackBerry, and also held positions at Aravana and Nortel Networks. And today, Glenn will be providing his perspectives on how consumer lifestyles are changing rapidly, and how service providers can keep pace